the sweet sounds. Rocco playing the music of our people. Eric from Creep Records producing. Jason Abrams on the mic. We are here at the Rock and Wrestling Connection podcast. Let's get into it, fellas.
Here we go. We're going to do it live.
I want to hear what he got.
Look at those socks.
Did I tell you I got Headhunter 2
boots?
No.
whole outfit?
He got his whole...
Stop.
Yes.
And Damien 666.
Damien 666.
What?
We were at some hoarder's house. Like,
Wait. Back up. Wait, where were you?
Wait, you're telling me you picked up one of the Headhunters wrestling gear?
With the boots? The pointy boots.
No boots.
Damn it. And what else? And wait, and?
Well, it was like a crazy house. It was like a hoarder house.
Wait. There's crazy houses, and I've been in plenty of crazy houses, and I've never run across wrestling outfits. I've gone to estate sales.
There you go.
Wait,
that's
now
how
you're back
we
on
were
track.
at an estate sale.
I mean, sort of.
Me and Eric.
Okay.
Sort of.
And the guy had lots of records and things, and he was a wrestling fan. And
Did you know he was a wrestling fan before you went in
Yes,
there?
because
Okay.
Furry set it up.
Okay.
He set it up.
That's one of their
Wait,
mutual
and
friends.
Furry didn't strip away all the good shit
Oh no, they
already?
definitely did.
Yeah.
They definitely
And
did.
also, Paul Bearer showed up in the middle of this.
God.
Wait,
Why did you
the
count your
band?
rings in your wallet afterwards?
He did. The house was extremely hoarded,
Right.
like very old, musty papers everywhere. And Paul Bearer lit up a joint upstairs, and I'm like, dude, you're about to burn this whole house.
I have
down.
Paul Bear stories that I cannot tell on air. God bless the guy.
We'll get Paul Bearer in here.
Yeah, we'll get
definitely.
Paul Bear. Yeah, there's
Definitely
heat.
is a guy.
There's heat. He can be my arch enemy
Oh,
because he's talked shit on me all the time.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
okay, so for the listeners, explain to them the Paul Bearer you're talking about, because some of them are probably
Not
thinking...
dead fat
I-
Paul
I'm
Bear.
probably thinking
I am
the
not
under-
talking about. Yeah, I'm talking
Not
about
Percy Pringle III.
Our guys are not on the
Philadelphia's
LSD.
Paul Bearer, singer for the Serial Killers.
Okay, yeah, so...
Yeah, not the million other punk rockers who named themselves Paul Bear thinking it was clever.
I don't need one
This
of
is
my
a different one.
132 Twitter followers tweeting me going, Paul Bear is dead.
Right.
But anyway,
You can hashtag them about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
so Jay claims he didn't smell the headhunter's crotch in the
I didn't
gear.
smell the crotch yet.
What do you guys think? Do you
I think it's
he
more of
did
a
it?
scratch and sniff situation at this point. It's not just wafting out. I think you have to activate it with heat or friction.
If you would have seen the house we were in and the situation that was happening, smelling the headhunter's crotch might have put me in a dire situation.
I was just digging in garbage outside in the street over here, and I am dying with envy that you went to a hoarder house with hidden wrestling
Yeah.
goodies in there. Wait.
I don't know if you honestly. I don't know if you.
Oh.
Jay put in the time. But
Oh, I've dug
I
in
threw
many
my
a
back
crate.
out.
this was.
Listen, I just saw Rocco outside fighting rats for a picture
did.
of Jesus.
I got the Jesus
I think
heads,
he
yeah.
would.
Yeah,
I think he
I'll
would.
get my hands dirty.
I also brought Jason 2 boxes of wrestling magazines.
Yeah, like
wrestling
Mexican. Yeah,
magazines.
Yes.
like 2003, 2004,
I
2005.
like older ones.
All right, so here we are, guys. It's episode 11.
11.
The Rock and Wrestling Podcast. Jay and Eric, as you heard, had a little adventure. They went on some kind of storage wars meets like Paul
We're
Bearer.
American shit pickers.
American shit pickers.
Rocco was in the hospital last week. How you doing,
no.
Rocco?
I'm gigging as
What
we
happened?
speak.
He's
right?
still bleeding. Show
still
him your
He's
leg.
still
Rocco.
bleeding.
Look.
Look,
Show him your leg. This will be real good. This is real good for radio.
Oh God.
I got a face
I would
for
like to
radio.
describe the
Wait,
leg.
so what
It's
happened?
black and red, and it's rotting off of his
And
body.
it's too dry and too wet at the same time.
But there is a cartoon of Vader.
Oh, it's right next to my
Next to
tattoo.
the
Hey,
wound.
wait,
It's a mashup.
it's right next to my tattoo of Big Van Vader drawn as Hello Kitty, aka Hello Vader. Right
That's
on
good
the other
stuff.
side of my Greetings from Hostile City with the ice pick, and on the reverse side of my Abdullah the Butcher stabbing beautiful Bobby Eaton in a bunkhouse stampede match. So it's affecting the art of the ages.
It is. I think it's adding.
yeah,
to the
exactly.
leg.
You got all these guys
It's
stabbing each other,
miscoloring.
and now
Definitely
there's
a
blood
deathmatch
everywhere.
leg.
Yeah. It might get me booked somewhere. I
Yes.
can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leg is it's losing the death.
I have
match
like
with
8
your-
different canes at home, and I got to use canes all last
So
week.
what?
and
How did you do that? That's the
I don't know. It was just there, and then it started getting infected, and I went to the
No. I
hospital.
mean, but how did it end up there?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I
You
don't
don't drink.
remember. No, I don't drink. I don't remember,
That's
and
all
that's
we
what
do.
worried the doctor so much.
He's got gout.
I got a gout, or I got the
got
herpes, or I got the sugar diabetes. I don't know what I got. I got something. All I know is they took a lot of blood, they pumped me full of a lot of shit, and I'm still here. So whatever.
Well, we're glad you're still here, Rocco.
Thanks, baby.
Kicking.
Thanks for visiting me. by the
Yeah,
way.
no problem.
Yeah, whatever.
It's COVID.
Thank you
no,
for letting
no
me touch
visitors.
the
Yeah,
lawn.
no, you can get visitors one at a time. But wait, what else did you get? You got magazines, and you know Rocco loves wrestling magazines. I didn't get any, but thank you very much.
Maybe Jason will give you one.
Yeah.
Do you speak Spanish?
What's that?
Do you speak
Un
Spanish?
pequeño.
See.
And what else? What else did you get?
I ended up with Headhunters 2's ring-worn wrestling.
Wait, how do you know it's twos?
Because he signed it.
Okay, gotcha.
And Damien 666 fancy outfit.
Love Damien 666 and his son, Bestias 666.
Yes. Who we saw.
Yes. Yep. We've seen live
Yes.
and in action in person. This is great. So, I'm a big fan of going to dead people's house. I did get Freddie Blassie's
Yes.
outfit from
Yes, from Howie.
Dead Howie. His
Cosmo.
mom personally made sure that I
R.I.P..
got it from him. So
Do we have comfort? How do we know it's Freddie Blassie's?
because Howie said, "Yeah, I got Freddie Blassie. Eric from Hollywood Book and Poster got it for me," and
Nice.
and that's the provenance right there. And
What?
there is a photograph of Blassie with the outfit, but there can only be one of these. If you see it,
Well,
you'll
it's
see
Howie.
it.
You know it was Freddie Blassie's.
Right. And I have not ever had the nerve to actually put it on because I don't mind Freddie Blassie's cooties, but Howie's cooties at different points in his
I
life.
have his boots that I sometimes wear around.
Really? I mean, he's tattooed me and my arm didn't fall off. His tattoos would take
Your leg's
like
about
three
to.
times as long to heal. Do you ever get the oatmeal cookie scab on top of one of his tattoos?
I've noticed that one of his tattoos is next to that giant wound on your leg. Right
Maybe it's Howie's revenge 30 years later. I don't know.
now.
God bless.
What were you telling me in the car, Rocco, about the tattoo Howie did on your leg?
Oh, it says greetings from Hostel City, and then there's an ice pick, and I had this idea like I wanted it to be like a picture postcard, but every time you told Howie I have this tattoo idea, he would get scared that he couldn't draw it and dumb it down and dumb it down and dumb it down until he was confident, and then finally he'd go, "You draw it." So I drew it for him, and it came out nice, right? And I like it, and it's very traditional. But why don't we put like these red puncture wounds with like drops of blood coming out of it, like you got stabbed with the ice pick? And I said, why would I get stabbed with the ice pick if it's my ice pick? But sure, why not? More coverage. It's not like I was paying for it anyway, right? And I got it. So every time I was in the hospital, a new doctor would look at my leg and go, were these red dots always here? Is this part of it? Thinking like it has escalated into the next level of SARS, COVID, AIDS, brain rot. I said, oh no, that's part of the tattoo. And there you go. Oh, vaguely disappointed.
His leg has brain rot.
Yeah, right. So, I got a lot of brains, baby. You got to spread them out.
The doctor was very excited for a minute.
Yeah, right. Thought they were getting some journal. Did you, Doc? Huh? You think I'm paying that bill? I don't got insurance. Oops, I shouldn't have said that on the air.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
doctors
whoopsie.
really listen to this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of doctors.
You get professionals from everywhere.
I mean, they give us a breakdown of what countries, like our 100 and so listeners come from. We're huge in Ireland. We got like 3 listeners in Ireland. I wonder how many doctors listen.
I'm big in the Reverend Axel Future was big in the Canary Islands.
Really?
I told you that story, right?
No.
I'm in a bar, and this younger couple come up to me, and they say, "Excuse me, are you a wrestler?" And I said, "Well, I used to wrestle." And they said, "You're the Reverend Axel Future, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, we're fans of yours. We've seen you on TV." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, we lived in the Canary Islands for a while, and there'd be all this bootleg TV, all the Midwest promotions that would do UHF and everything and put stuff out. They must have, somebody either sold them the tapes or they got the tapes, and I was big in the Canary Islands."
They're mainstream TV, huh?
Right, and I was like, "You can buy me a drink," and they said, "Okay," and I got a free drink out of it.
Love it.
Wow.
That's
So
fame.
better than the times I've gotten a free drink from looking like Ian Asbury or John Doe from X or Blackie Lawless. I've gotten 3 free drinks from all of those.
I
drinks.
get little X. Yeah, none of the other guys know.
Well,
Blackie's
Blackie
got
Law. I
some
used to have black
Blackie.
and white hair. I used to have a white streak in my hair. And then John Doe, I used to have the big sideburns. And then Ian Asbury when I wore tight jeans and longer hair.
See,
He's the lead singer of The Doors now.
I know that's embarrassing. That's a little embarrassing. Rock and wrestling, baby.
Well, we're coming towards the end of the pandemic. They're starting to let some more people into the sporting events around here, and
We all got our shots.
we all got
all
everyone.
got shots. All got shots.
Everyone here is vaccinated. If you remember a couple episodes here, everyone had COVID at one point. Now we're all vaccinated.
Excuse me.
The concerts are coming back now too.
I have a
know-
question. What's your feeling about going to a concert or wrestling show?
I don't care. I'm
Well,
fine
you-
with it. I'm
Well,
Let's
vaccinated.
go.
And would you require for your own comfort any safety regulation
I mean,
at all? I'm
if-
just asking honestly.
I mean, if people still want to wear masks, God bless them. There's other cultures around the world that wear masks before us, and look at their flu
but I
rates
but I
and
meant like
whatnot.
let's say you were going to a concert, like at a bigger club.
Yeah.
Not an arena, but a bigger club where it's going to get full. Would you, if they said nope, no 6 feet, no masks, would you be comfortable going?
Everything's 100% capacity.
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm
would
fine
you
with it.
personally?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, what do I care?
I'm
Goldberg?
fine with it. I'm vaccinated. I don't,
Really,
yeah.
Eric?
Totally fine.
Yeah, as a
But
matter
I,
of fact,
I did other stuff.
As a matter of fact, we played a concert last week.
Yeah.
That is true.
yeah, and
Garage of shame.
and of all the, there's been so many concerts that have been announced in the last 2 weeks. The only people that have announced any kind of thing is Dead and Company, the Grateful Dead that tour. You have to have a vaccination card to sit on the floor.
Without and take your shoes off. And take your shoes off. Right.
I mean, Bob Weir's like 70
Also,
some
they're-
years
they're
old. They
old.
gotta, make
They're
sure
old.
the Golden Goat's still going.
Yeah.
So that's
There's a good dead joke in here.
Yeah, somewhere. Because I was
Paul
tempted
Barrett,
because there's
dead.
going to be a Major League Wrestling show at the 2300 Arena.
and that's full capacity.
on July 10th.
If they can sell it out.
It wasn't. Well, I went to their last one, which was a TV taping, and it was immensely fun. But it was 6 hours. And to be honest, I had tickets in my cart, and I was not 100% comfortable going.
They just announced.
Are you?
I'm
What
being
are you afraid
honest.
of?
Well, it's the catch-22 of I don't want to wear a mask there because it would lessen my enjoyment.
Are
of
they making
it.
you wear masks?
You're not gonna have to.
No.
by that
Well,
time.
At the first time I went into the site, there was no COVID information whatsoever, which took me aback. And the second time I looked at it, they said, "Oh, we are spacing things out, and we request that you wear masks." But let's face it, at South Philly, and they're serving beer, no one's going to be wearing masks after a while.
And
and that's fine. And like, I don't begrudge people doing that, but I don't know. I don't know if how much I'm going to enjoy it. I just don't know if that would inhibit my enjoyment
because you've been
of it.
used to it for over a year
Right.
wearing a mask.
If
Now,
you
so
said
weird
to me,
go
do you think you're going to get COVID? I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get COVID,
Well, you
but
got
somehow,
the vaccine.
Yeah, I've got the
even if you
vaccine,
do
I
get
already
COVID,
had
you
it.
won't get sick.
Right.
Apparently.
right. But there's going to be idiots there who never got COVID and never got the vaccine and are going to be shouting and yelling. This is the true test.
You think there's gonna be idiots at a wrestling show in
In
Philadelphia?
South Philly, it's going to be filled with homunculuses, gargoyles, and genetic wading pool freaks.
Me and my wife were going to wrestling shows the entire
wife.
time through COVID. and guess what? We both got COVID.
And she's eating nothing but cereal.
We were going to all the Atlantic City shows, GCW.
Well, concerts are back. It sounds like Rocco might be a little hesitant, but we'll get him out there, Jay. We'll
I'm
grab
scared.
We'll
I'm
grab
scared.
his
I
hand.
see an event that it has your name written all over it. Boardwalk Buds.
Yeah, weed
Yes.
It's a
wrestling.
wrestling weed
Oh
combo.
my lord!
I think they were anticipating the weed to already be legal in New Jersey by then, but I guess Jersey has not gotten their stuff together.
There
I mean, they're not
probably
gonna
won't be too
really-
many girls there, so you'll feel a little more comfortable.
Oh,
walking
yeah,
I've been to
definitely.
the Atlantic City Boardwalk. I think weed's legal there.
Yeah.
And I think COVID has been illegal there the whole time anyway because they
It's a
never
hoax.
did anything. Yes.
Well, guys, unfortunately, while we were away, we lost one of the great ECW originals, New Jack, one half of the Gangsters.
That's I mean, he was one of the biggest modern wrestling personalities of all time. people. I mean, he's got to be. If you base it on YouTube views, he's got to be one of the biggest guys.
He's definitely one of the most talked about wrestlers. He's probably the most talked about wrestler in the last 10, 15 years that did not work for the WWE.
Yes,
and did not
I
work
agree.
for WCW. Yes. This man was indie legend. I mean, if you want to talk about it in music terms, and he's the Black Flag of indie wrestling. I mean, his name is humongous. He just never played the big arenas.
He was, I would say, he was one of the last guys that you looked at it and you thought it was real. He was, in the modern sense of the word, the realist guy.
When I look at New Jack, I think it was real.
Right.
It was real.
I think he was living that life.
Whether or not it was, you believed it was, or you were pretty sure it was.
Well, there was a few times in the ring it was.
I mean, we all know the story. I mean, I've experienced this firsthand, and you hear the apocryphal stories of going to the arena and some hillbilly will lean over and say, well, those first matches weren't real, but this one is because of who's in it, or because there was blood or whatever. But with New Jack, you always could believe it was real. The suspension of disbelief. And it wasn't that he was his character so much, it was just that his presentation was so authentic.
That was him. Unfortunately, at the age of 5, New Jack witnessed his father stab his mother. His mind has been visioning these scenes his whole life play out, and he brought it into the ring. He was born in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1963. Jerome Young. So let's talk a little about him. We're going to dedicate most of this episode to New Jack.
Great.
He got his start. He was in Memphis, working the Memphis territory before, he eventually did a couple other things, and then he makes his way to Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
It was a different Memphis than the Jerry Lawler Memphis. It was a different one.
Well, it actually tried to compete with Jerry Lawler.
And it was New Georgia, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, Jim Cornette saw something.
It was a Tennessee-based federation, And then, and he does a couple other things, and then he makes his way to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and that's where, people start noticing him. Cornette teams him up with Mustafa, or was Mustafa already with him?
Mustafa Saeed worked. He did enhancement talent in WCW. He was another guy, and then they were together. They were together
before they got to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Cornette is the one who came up with you should call yourself the Gangsters, and
Correct.
Then if New Jack's like Gangsters,
right,
with the A, blah blah blah, and it just exploded from there. They feud with the Rock and Roll Express is what really garnered the tape collectors around the world, and that's when Paul Heyman was probably like, we got to bring this guy in.
As well as the team of Thugs, which was Tracy Smothers and Dirty White Boy, was another really, and it really was of a time and place.
I mean,
it really was that era, and the end of that era, as well as it being Smoky Mountain, where they pushed the racial angle to not just to be cutting edge as well as straight up racist over the line. There was all with New Jack's blessing, but they really, really pushed it to get maximum heat from that crowd. And, it got dangerous a few times. And then ECW was different, though. The racial angle was not played up because everyone in Philly loves the violence. So he was an automatic babyface by the time when he came here. So, that was a big deal. But his promos were great. I mean, to me, that was my favorite thing of him. His work, once he started jumping off the balconies, that was very one note to me. But his promos were always great, especially his ECW ones were
Well,
great.
let's check out one of the tail end of one of the most shocking promos ever in pro wrestling, but this is now back in the mid-90s in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
And set your send a special shout out to my homeboy, O.J. Simpson. Keep up the good work, baby. 2 less we got to worry about. You understand? Keep up the good work. Louis Farrakhan will be the next president. Snoop Dogg, we know you're innocent. You called me last night. You understand? Get ready, Smoky Mountain, because we going to set this place on fire. All right, man.
I mean, that is just some groundbreaking stuff at that time in that place where he
Ballsy.
is.
That was ballsy. I two of my favorite things about the Gangstas was New Jack insisting that the referees in Smoky Mountain only had to count to 2 for his pinfalls because of affirmative action, which is so wrong and so right. I cannot believe it. That's genius. And also Mustafa Saeed, who was definitely the weak link in there, but was such a good look and such a good presence. But in ECW, he would just stand behind New Jack as New Jack did these long promos. And then at the end, just say one word, and usually some onomatopoeia or nonsense word, and it worked so well. There's one where they filmed it in back of the 2300 arena and at night, and it's a dirty alley, and New Jack just gives this huge promo, and Mustafa just walks up to the mic and just says, boing, and it just works so well. That's one of my favorite promo parts of any promo.
Mustafa Ali might have had some mental illness. They said that he would bring like weird stuff to the locker room and want to smoke it. Like he had a pencil shaving kit, and he would shave pencil carvings and then roll them up in blunts and smoke them. They said that he would just pull stuff out of the parking lot.
Gonna try things, you know.
Yeah, right. That's if he found the right thing, everyone would be hailing him as a genius.
And then one night he's being arrested by the police, and New Jack's telling this story on the Dark Side of the Ring. They got him cuffed, and he's yelling, "New Jack, help me! The cops are trying to fuck me. They want to fuck me."
Sure, why not?
Did the cops want to fuck him?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, New Jack was out of control back to the Smoky Mountain with his race baiting tactics to get the. One time, he even brought a baby doll and tied a noose around it, like he was gonna hang the Kentucky people's children.
And allegedly, or I don't even know allegedly, I think it's common knowledge now. Well, if anyone hasn't seen it, Paul E. did a promo for talking smack about New Jack on his passing. That was succinct and heartfelt and really good. But Cornette has talked about him recently, and neither of those guys like to talk about wrestlers on their deaths so much on the internet. They don't think it's necessarily appropriate, but they felt moved to talk about New Jack because they both dealt with him personally. But allegedly, Paul said to the Gangsters, "Come up, no show your Smoky Mountain dates." And it'll be a big surprise because otherwise everyone in the sheets will know about it. Everyone will read the Wrestling Observer and know you're coming up here. And so they did that. And then Paulie sent out the rumor that Cornette wasn't paying them, and that's why they left to take heat off himself. So he would not have been the instigator. And that caused friction between New Jack, Cornette, and Danger Lee for years until they all mutually talked it out. And it was not a big deal because obviously all their federations had gone out of business. But it was that was an interesting thing that I learned upon his death recently. I did not know the resolution of that.
And there's always been the allegedly about the justifiable homicides before he even entered the pro wrestling world. He was like a bounty hunter, but no one really has ever like confirmed any of that.
The Dark Side of the Ring TV show where for him talks about a lot of that, and he built up his own mythology, and a lot of it was a work like wrestling is. And once you start in that mentality of being a worker and working, it's hard to turn it off. But so much of it was real or could have been real for him. And that was part of it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you call me a mark or whatever, but I think you're getting worked. I think New Jack was a shoot work. Let's start now. We're not going to sugarcoat this. There was a lot of terrible things that went along with the guy's career. We'll start off with the 72-year-old Gypsy Joe. where when you watch this tape, he is bashing him in the head as hard as he can with an aluminum baseball bat, because Gypsy Joe's gimmick is he's a tough guy and you can't hurt him, and he no-sold in the beginning of the match, and New Jack's like, fuck it. And New Jack also says that the crowd is, all over him yelling the N-word and what have you, and he's like, it just infuriated him. And he bashes this 72-year-old man's head in at least 3-4 times with an aluminum baseball bat. You can hear the thug of the bat. It sounds like a ESPN college girls softball game where the girl just smacks one out of the park.
I think that's reprehensible, but I will say this: New Jack owned right up to it. He didn't deny it. He didn't make excuses. He just said that's what he did, and no working or whatever. I think that's wrong, because in a wrestling match, there's supposed to be cooperation. There's supposed to be mutual protection. There have been certain always exceptions and always extraordinary circumstances, and Jack has been involved in a lot of them, and that's why I personally wouldn't classify him as one of the best wrestlers or in a wrestling, but as a personality, he's way up there.
Yeah, I think, he worked a little bit more in the ring, like you said. Once he started, jumping and diving, he kind of pigeonholed himself, and then the match became about him. So my first experiences with New Jack was seeing the Gangsters on Sports Channel, ECW, after high school. And you know what was the most interesting thing about that segment was, I remember they came out and he throws the trash can in the ring with all the different weapons and stuff, and I'd seen that before, blah, blah, blah. They played the music the entire match. That was like, wow.
I thought that was great, but I also thought that was a crutch to add to the match.
I was just, in a weird way, because, it is sports competition, and, there's a bell, and you're just like, and I remember, I was like, wow, this guy, he's got the music playing during the match while he's beating the heck out of everybody.
The New Jack talks again, and he talks candidly about Vic Grimes, where he threw Vic Grimes off that huge scaffolding. And
we'll get to
he
that.
has said it different ways at different times, but he has stated several times, I was trying to kill him. Now, I don't think he was really trying to kill him, but I definitely think he didn't care if he died.
I definitely think
what I
was
mean?
trying to
So
kill
that's
him.
what I mean about the work and the shoot and everything.
Well, on the same note, they were both up there, and someone was definitely taking that fall.
All right, okay, since you jumped the gun on me, let's take it backwards for a minute. So Vic Grimes and New Jack have a match where they're supposed to do a back body drop or something off of the second level at the arena, and while they're up in the air, Vic Grimes backs out and he's like, yo, I don't want to do this, and New Jack's like, fuck you, here we go, and he grabs him, and Vic Grimes lands on New Jack incorrectly, where New Jack crushes his skull, and he has now eye problems from the rest of his life. Now we fast forward to a match in the West Coast, XPW. That is what Rocco is talking about.
I mean, there's a background to it, but to isolate it, like I said, I don't know. I mean, if you want to kill the guy, don't do it in a wrestling
he also
ring.
Apparently tased him when he was on top of that scaffolding. He pulled a taser out.
It's evil for me to laugh.
Is there truth to that?
He says he has a taser, and he apologized, Vic Grimes. So what, before the match starts, he apologized about what happened the last time. But that was not good enough for New Jack.
I mean, I feel like that was just a overshoot by Vic Grimes. I mean, he clearly was supposed to go off of that scaffolding through those tables, and he overshot it by a little bit.
But New Jack has taken credit for the overshoot.
Well, yeah, of course.
But I mean, to the point is, you can. It just becomes gossip and rubbernecking, to surmise what was in everybody's mind, despite the fact that people talking about it. But like I said, it does, irregardless of the fact of what he did or what was intended, you always believed he was capable of it.
Sure.
And you could look at someone these days that may appear to be dangerous, and you may be impressed with how well they make it look dangerous, and you may see, oh, they're really protecting each other, or he's taking it himself, but you rarely get that feeling, oh, this guy's trying to kill this guy. And irregardless of whether or not he was, you could believe, it's very easy to believe that with New Jack. And I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that approached that in recent years.
When we worked that Extreme Rising show, we played the intermission, which was basically ECW, but they weren't.
I was there, yeah.
3 hours before the show started, New Jack came into the building and beat the living crap out of Balls Mahoney. Lumped him up. He looked like the Elephant Man.
Neither guys are with us.
He had some beef with him from who knows when, but
Right.
he didn't say one word. He walked in and started beating the shit out of Balls Mahoney. And this wasn't in front of no crowd. And
Right.
This was real life.
And not
not
and
everyone
everyone
trying to
right.
break it up backstage.
I mean, he's admitted that he does cocaine before he wrestles. Like, so saying that, I mean, how can he really even pretend that he's really protecting the other people he's in the ring with?
How much do you think Vic Grimes weighs?
Oh my God, he's a big boy.
Do you honestly think New Jack can throw him over the ring?
Let me put it this way: if I'm
He tased him.
if I have to jump off a scaffold, I don't want anyone near me. I want to take that. I want to be totally responsible. I don't want anyone pushing me. I don't want anyone looking at me funny. I don't want to breeze.
You don't want anyone tasing you
I
right
don't want
before
anyone
you take the
tasing me.
dope?
I don't want anyone
That
hooking
was
my
the-
leg.
yeah.
I don't want anyone pushing me towards the ring post and away from the tables. That's all. But the people I know who have met New Jack more than a handshake at a convention only had nice things to say about him. So take that for what you will. I don't, that my direct secondhand encounters with the man were all positive. So leave it at. Speaking of which, we have to get Eric Perfect on here.
Perfect. I called to see if we could get him in here
Mr.
tonight.
First Person Encounter, tattooist too,
he's,
New Jack and other stars.
The epitome of rock and wrestling.
Very
right?
rock and
He
wrestling.
was friends with New Jack, and we tried to get him in here.
He'll be
today,
here.
but maybe next week.
He'll be here.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it would go without saying. If we're talking in depth about New Jack, we got to talk about the mass transit incident. It was a young wrestler. I think he's 16, 17 years old. Came back a little cocky to the ECW locker room. His wanted to get a couple moves in with New Jack, and Jack wasn't having it. And the kid had such soft tissue. He's just such a young kid. When he cuts him, he just starts squirting like a pig.
Well, I like that he cuts this kid. The kid's obviously bleeding pretty bad, laying in the middle of the ring, and his head looks like a sprinkler, like shooting straight up in the air. But just to add, injury to injury, he climbs up the turnbuckle with a folding chair and comes down right on the kid's head, opening the wound even more somehow.
One of my many lessons, and one of the few I took to heart, was never let anyone gig you.
Never let New Jack.
Anybody. This was before he was involved in the conversation. If you misrepresent yourself in the locker room, I mean that was a complicated story. He should never have been let in the ring, without being vetted properly. But he had enough. He got back there. His dad was there. I don't know.
You can hear his dad yelling.
And then I mean,
so
but
sad.
there's, it's like as far as I'm concerned, as an ex-worker, it's like he signed a waiver. If he voluntarily stepped up, it would to the same extent. A different story than if a fan charges a ring and gets in the ring. In that situation, the fan deserves what they get. This was an alleged worker going in there to do it, and the kid was not all there. I think I think he overpaid for his transgression, but at the same time, like you get in the ring with New Jack and you cop an attitude.
That you know what, that kid was more famous from that than he ever would have been anyway.
Yeah, well, he never got to
That was his career highlight. Was his first match.
He never got to cash in from it. Yeah,
Unfortunately, he winds up
Dead.
killing himself.
Yeah.
No, I think he had some kind of disease he dies from years later.
Fatness.
But once again, someone wants to take liberties with New Jack, or New Jack's not listening to him. He has an incident a few years later in Florida with this wrestler named Hunter Red. And if you have watched the tape,
That one. Yeah.
he takes a knife out of his pocket and stabs the dude 9 times while they're wrestling.
My favorite part of that match is after he's stabbing the guy, people want to break it up, but he's holding a knife and he's kneeling on the guy's neck and won't let him up. And no one can get near him because he's holding a knife while he's kneeling on the guy's neck.
I like how this is the perfect example of, let's talk about this person. Maybe they're a little controversial. You can bring in one incident. Maybe someone can make an excuse or hem and haw or defend them. But there's always a bigger example you can pull out of your pocket to the point of like, well, there you go. I got nothing to say to that. But I'm guilty of watching that tape too. And but at the same time, like, who are these promoters booking him?
Well, the promoters actually of that particular show are a really good friend of New Jack's.
Well, there you go. I mean, I've known
He's a loose cannon.
I've known workers who carry a weapon on them in case things get out of hand. You know,
do they carry it to get it out of hand?
ring?
in the ring, yeah, in their boot, or who have an extra razor blade that they carry in case things get out of hand. I've seen that in
How about
actuality.
like a Rambo knife? 'Cause that's it
Or
looked
what
like.
about his Wolverine claws he used to have?
That's what it is. It's the Wolverine claw.
Yeah, it's like it's literally like that crazy friend you have when you're age 12 to 16 who goes into the hunting store and just sees some stupid like crazy fantasy Klingon knife and it's like, that's what I need, and he carries it with him everywhere. You're like, dude, this is just gonna get you in trouble. What are you doing?
So I guess like before reactionary videos were popular on YouTube, the guys from Dark Side of the Ring, I guess Cornette never saw the stabbing video, so they show him the stabbing video, and he's like, holy shit, he's stabbing the motherfucker.
You can either laugh or cry. I don't know what to say.
Well, you know what? This one, the mass transit one, it's a very tough topic. This one
That
you
has
can
been
laugh
talked to
at.
death. That
This
has been-
one you can laugh at because the dude, Hunter Red, the wrestler, New Jack is now in prison after the match. The cops come and arrest him. He's in prison.
He tried to kill someone.
And this guy, Hunter Red, I don't know if someone talks to him or this or that. He goes to the prison that night and is like, New Jack, I'll drop all the charges if you run a gimmick with me that, you're coming after Hunter Red.
After the fact, that's the case of motherfucker deserves to get stabbed. You're that stupid. Eric, can you, in post-production, do one of those sitcom noises where it's like, that's our New Jack. Boing. Like really, that's like, what do you, fool me once, shame on you. Stab me 9 times and kneel on my neck, shame on me.
So the guy then drops the charges. New Jack gets out of town and just rolls.
No, because he'll get arrested if he goes back in the
What do
state.
you think would have happened if the guy didn't drop the charges?
He probably would have spent time in
You
prison.
think?
Yeah.
There's been any time that somebody has tried to sue someone else for overstepping their bounds, not necessarily with a knife, in a wrestling ring, it's always been so confusing that nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I was
from
wondering,
it.
has that ever happened in wrestling? Has
Yeah, there's
someone
been
been
case-
charged with assault
There's been cases
for
where
wrestling?
wimpy indie guys are like, he punched me and he wasn't supposed to, or someone will say, injure someone and then keep on them and not let them. And there have been cases where
where assault
judges,
charges were pressed?
real adults who happen to have real jobs like judges don't want to deal with this idiocy, and it becomes the question of consent becomes so confusing that everyone just throws their hands up in the air, and there may be like, okay, you'll get an order of protection, and then that's it. There's nothing else we can do. There have been times when people have lost an eye from a stiff punch, and then, I'm suing the guy that I work, which is breaking an unwritten wrestler code that may be smart or maybe stupid. Don't know. Suing the guy who injured you, like you take your licks, but this guy. And it usually ends up just nonsense. That's as far as I know. I'm sure there's specific examples that could be cited, but that's just from my
should look
experience with
into
it. Yes, let's call our lawyer
We
friends.
can have a court episode,
Yes.
court TV.
So if there's any Jews here, they can talk to their lawyer friends. Don't put that on the air. I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't all just blood and guts for New Jack. He did wear the tag team championship a few times. He was a 3-time ECW tag team champion with Mustafa, and then he was also a tag team champion with. He was a 3-time tag team champion, twice with Mustafa, once with a guy who bled maybe more than him, John Cronus.
I like John Cronus.
What a bleeder!
I like the Eliminators.
I mean, when he would cut it, oh man, he was all over the arena in that blood. You would be slipping in his blood. There was so much blood of his flying around that Swanson and Rittner.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I just bought a book on Amazon
Oh,
written by a fellow by the name of Phil Schneider, who is
maybe he knows a good attorney.
who's an online fella who knows a lot of nice words and writes good things that I like because I agree with them. But he has a website, Segunda Caída.
Rock, are you telling us you met a guy online?
Yes, but I'm pretty sure I'm being catfished. But it's not Phil Snyder.
He wrote a book.
But I'm transferring some of my bank over there to get that lottery ticket out of there. But it's called Way of the Blade, 100 of the greatest bloody matches in wrestling history. I get no money from this, nor was I consulted for it, which I
paid
feel a
for the
little.
book.
For which I paid retail for the book, mind you. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. But it got delivered today. I looked at it, and it's really good, and it's very cool illustrations. And there's obviously a couple New Jacks in there, lots and lots of Terry Funk, lots of good Mexican bloody matches.
You have to tell us where Bill Alfonso winds up, and we'd love to hear all
I have
about
not
it.
even read it, but if Fonzie versus Beulah is not in there, I'm gonna riot because that was what.
What do you? Is that your bloodiest match?
I mean, it's just every time I watch it, I'm just like, what the fuck
It's
happened here?
enhanced because it's a quote unquote referee and a valet.
Right.
That makes it more shocking than if it's Terry Funk and Abdullah the Butcher.
But the guy weighs 112 pounds. He lost 16 pounds of blood.
First thing I said when Rocco pulled that book out, I said, "Is mass transit in there?"
Yeah. And I said, "That's not a real match." And then he said, "Yes, it is." I said, "You're right. The bell rang." So there you go.
There it is.
But yeah, there's. I mean, I'm sure it's qualified by what there's footage available of and all this. Like I said, the book looks really good. Call me Phil.
Nick Gage at Tournament of Death when he cut his armpit.
Yeah, and then had to get airlifted out.
I'll tell you what.
Keep this camera on. They're not letting me wrestle.
One of the bloodiest matches I ever saw was at the Nick Gage Invitational between Nate Hatred and Masada. It was like uncomfortable. It was so
That's the best
Masada
feeling.
was lighting him up so bad. I was right there with Schlack right in the front, and we were like, "This is getting bad." Like,
Yeah,
I felt bad for.
But
Nate
see,
Hatred.
I feel like old school wrestling. There was that separation of you and the worker / performer, and it was set up, and there was storyline and context. And now there are people you're meant to identify with these people, and they're people that maybe you're not like them, but you listen to bands with people like them, and you may, they may be working at the tattoo shop or that you see, they may be extreme people, or some of them just look like kids who work at, Waffle House or whatever. They look like nothing, and you're seeing them get carved up. And no matter how consensual you in the back of your mind it is to and your suspension of disbelief is minimal, then that becomes more uncomfortable. Like you said, like, do they see, I've been to matches where they're like, you really could stop it now because you've said everything there is to say. Now you're just injuring yourself.
As uncomfortable as I was when that girl said hello to me.
That was, well, see, that made everybody kind of feel awkward. Yeah.
Well, we did it again, boys.
One other thing I want to bring up.
Of course, Jay.
Yeah. Another Jack from Philadelphia.
Yes,
that passed
please.
away is
Oh,
our
yeah.
good friend Jack from that owned the record store Noise Pollution.
Noise Pollution is the record store of the 90s and 2000s when it comes to Philadelphia. I mean,
Yeah.
they had everything. You look at their wall, they had the Maiden records, they had Black Flag records, they had Misfit records, he had Stones records, he had it all. And then he had all the bootlegs. Like a week after the show happened, he had the VHS bootlegs, which wound up turning to be coming from friends of mine. I mean, what a tremendous record store. And
Well, he was a South Street legend.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
stood the test of time, that record store. It was there forever. And it was the last one standing down there.
yeah, R.I.P. Jack of Noise
And
Pollution.
I heard he went into work. He opened up the store 2 days before he died.
Yeah.
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 I was in there a few days before he died. I had no idea. He didn't want anyone to know he was sick.
Yep. So R.I.P. Jack.
R.I.P. Jack.
All the Jacks.
All Jacks.
Yeah, Jack from Noise Pollution and New Jack from the wonderful world of professional
From the
wrestling.
ghettos in our heart.
Well, guys, thanks again for getting together.
Yep.
Yes.
Eric, any new stock tips? Anything going on in the NASDAQ world?
I heard you lost
that?
your ass in the Bitcoins.
Nah,
Doge
You got to
Dogecoin?
hashtag it more.
Nah. I got some Dogecoin.
They call Eric the Doge Father.
Do they?
That's what I heard.
Why?
If you're
Why?
rich, I'll be nicer to you.
Well, I turned $100 into $1,000.
Wow.
I watched. Can you give me a quick review? I watched Eric eat a Wawa hamburger.
Yeah, that was.
Is that
not
a new
good.
thing?
Yeah,
It was
they have
disgusting.
hamburgers at Wawa.
Disgusting.
Did you have to pay money? Was this like one of those TikTok online cameo
It was
things?
after. No, it was after. It was after the Hoarder House.
Oh, well, you're full of cooties. You ingested.
Yes.
Yes. Was
Might as well just
Jason
go
wearing
fully
one of the
downhill.
outfits while you were doing it?
Partially.
You guys should. One guy dress up as Damien
No,
666.
the answer was no, he
The other guy dress up as a headhunter, and I watch you wrestle.
You want to put the outfits on later?
I would love to.
Okay.
You know that. I made him an offer for Damien 666. I have not heard back.
I'm gonna get Dennis in that headhunter outfit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there's a Eats a Turnbuckle documentary coming
There
out.
it is.
and
keep-
Twitter.
Keep your eye out for Bad Luck 13. They're playing
Here's
shirts.
some other exciting news. Let's talk indie wrestling for. Did everyone see J.J. Allen light his nuts and get weed whackered?
What the freak is
We
going
are
on?
shooting a video with him in 2 weeks, and I've been in contact with him. He's going to be. We're working with him in the new Bad Luck video for Cocaine and Violence. Those guys are going to do a whole
Multimedia.
thing.
Yes.
But I contacted him the other day, and I was like, "Hey, I saw you lit your nuts on fire, and are you still gonna be able to do this video?" And he's like, "Well, I'm getting surgery tomorrow. I got to get a skin graft, and this and that." And he's like, "It's cutting down. It's kind of cutting down to the wire." He's like, "I'll probably be getting out of the hospital that day. I don't know. I'm definitely going to be there, though.
That's very
if
selfish
I can't
of
walk,
him.
you can shoot me in the head with paintballs."
That's very
This is-
well. That's not so selfish of him.
Right
that's a
now-
mensch. That's a real mensch for
So
you.
check out J.J. Allen and his POR stunt guys because they are out of control.
Yeah, right now the popular GIF going around is this dude's nuts getting lit on fire.
Hashtag nuts on fire.
Yeah.
Well,
Hot nuts.
Hot nuts.
so that's it with the Nasdaq. No,
Nasdaq.
yeah,
No,
New York Stock
I-
Exchange.
Dogecoin.
Yeah,
He's
the
in-
crypto.
He's into cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
Come on. Get
How about
with
you,
it.
Jay? You got a lot of
I lost
stock.
I lost $30,000 yesterday.
Holy shit! I don't even know what $30,000 is.
Yeah, but it'll
It'll come back though.
On Bitcoin, you lost 30G.
They call,
I'm wearing Ric Flair socks.
Woo!
That's right.
it's called.
Alligators on my feet.
Isn't that's
called
basically
diamond-
like one
No,
Bitcoin,
no,
right?
It's called diamond hands. We have diamond hands.
So,
Technical term for it.
you have multiple Bitcoin.
I don't know. I'm just trying to show off.
That's a yes.
Speaking of showing off on Instagram, which Rocco might be taking over
What?
for you
I don't
fans.
understand it though.
What do you mean?
Um,
It's just birthdays
Nah, we
understand.
and birthdays.
we are Rock and Wrestling Connection on Instagram, and on Twitter we're Rock ND. We couldn't get the A. Get the A out.
Cost
we're Rock
extra.
ND Wrestling.
you are TikTok famous. So
Yeah.
make sure you look at his TikToks. Have
Yeah.
you been TikTok?
No, I haven't really TikToked in a little bit. But
I enjoy your TikToks.
I appreciate that.
Except for the fish pictures.
I'll get back into the TikTok
I like
game.
the female free zone it creates
Yeah.
for us. Yeah, it's very comfortable for me.
Well, I'll be back on the TikTok game very soon. I just it takes a minute to
It
get
takes a lot out of you. You
does.
give it your all.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of your TikToks.
Thanks, bud. I really appreciate
too.
that. You have a nice one out now with
Yeah.
you
right.
and your buddy on the
Yeah,
beach.
There we are.
Yeah, that
I
was
showed
festive.
up on TikTok twice now.
Yeah.
Once
Just
on
the
yours,
two?
once on yours, once on my wife's at
you
the
know,
beach.
yes,
My
it's-
wife.
My way.
yes, that's good. You know, positivity. I like that. It's not all blood and guts and cocaine.
Well, with Rocco's leg, it's all blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. No cocaine though. No cocaine.
Throw some cocaine on his leg.
As my mom used to say, throw some cocaine on that.
Well, on that note, thanks everybody. It was a great episode. R.I.P. Jack from Noise Pollution. R.I.P. New Jack.
Old Jack. R.I.P.